Hey guys, I'm Kina, and in this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips for living with social anxiety. I myself have social anxiety, and I thought that it would be really good for me to bring to you guys tips that I've learned along the way navigating social anxiety. So here we go. Tip number 1 is to have grace for yourself. Having grace for yourself is so important because social anxiety is hard. Living with social anxiety is like fighting an uphill battle. And that's very difficult. But even though it's an uphill battle, it doesn't mean that it can't be won. It just means that it's really hard. So it's important to make sure that you have grace for yourself. Tip number 2 is to know your why. Knowing why you're going up there or going out is really important because that's going to help to motivate you. So if you're invited to a friend's birthday party, or maybe there's something else, maybe there's even a virtual event that you have to go to, but whatever it is that you've made plans for, it's important to know why you're doing it, because if you keep this in mind, that's going to help to motivate you to be able to keep your plans. But there are some times when social anxiety can be very overwhelming. I know it's definitely happened to me before, and it becomes so overwhelming that you can't follow through with your plans. You don't go out, you don't follow through with your plans. But if this happens to you, you're not a bad person. Don't think that you're a bad person. You're not a bad friend. You're not a bad family member. It's just that you had a setback, and you have to remember next time, I'm going to continue to work towards being able to go out and follow through with my plans next time. So just always think about, even if you have a setback, just always think about next time. I have another opportunity next time. So I'm not going to be too hard on myself. I'm going to have grace for myself, and I'm going to think about preparing myself for next time so that I'll be able to follow through with my plans next time. Tip number 3 is prepare yourself. I like to mentally and physically prepare myself before I go out to anywhere, because it helps me get myself in a positive mindset. So for me, I like to do breathing exercises. I like to know my why, which was the previous tip. But I also like to think about any positive outcomes that could possibly come from the plan, like going through with the plans that I made. So even if you have to go to school, I'm going to school to better myself. I'm going to school to get a good education, to earn my diploma, and this is going to help me to go into the career that I want to go into. I'm going to the grocery store because I need to get some food to eat, or I am going to go to work. I'm going to go into work, and I'm going to do my job well so that I can earn my money, so that I can take care of myself, but I also can make a difference in the world around me. So when you prepare yourself, you can choose how much time you want to dedicate. You can do 5 minutes, you can do 10 minutes, 30 minutes, a full hour, however much time you feel you need to carve out to prepare yourself to go out. Do that, because that's really going to help you. And honestly, just one thing to remember is, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't think about the negative outcomes. Only think about the positive outcomes during this period of time, and don't rush. Take your time, do your breathing exercises, and what I've found is the more time that I take to prepare myself, the more relaxed I am, because if I feel really rushed and then I go out to an event, or wherever else I have to go, I feel like the anxiety is greater, because on top of already having social anxiety, I'm rushing, which is going to make me even more anxious. So I found that carving that out into my schedule is super important. Tip number 4 is baby steps. Take baby steps. So for instance, you can start out with going to maybe like a cafe, and maybe step 1 for you might be to drive into the store parking lot. So you just drove into the parking lot, and then you go home, drive back home, and that's it. Step number 2 might be you drive into the parking lot, go in, order food to take out. And so you get your food, You get back in the car and you go home. And then the third step, or the next step, would be for you to go to the cafe, go into the store, and order food to dine in, and you actually dine in and eat in the cafe. And those gradual steps are going to help to make it easier, but it's okay to repeat some of the steps multiple times if you have to. So if you have to drive into the parking lot a couple of times, that's okay. Now, tip number 5 is to celebrate your victories. Celebrating your victories is necessary. You drove into that parking lot, that's something to celebrate. Every step you take means that you are one step closer to conquering social anxiety. And we have to take it one step at a time. And we have to remember that we are fighters, we are courageous, because social anxiety, like I said before, is an uphill battle. And it's an uphill battle that we're fighting, but just because it's hard doesn't mean that we can't win it. We will win it as long as we take the necessary steps that help us in order to be able to do so.